guide, pulled out the absolute must-knows, the subtle strategies, and those crucial insights that can set you apart. Our mission is to arm you, our listener, with the confidence and the knowledge to turn every potential interview hurdle into a real opportunity to shine. So, yeah, let's get into it.
And it's so important because this is really more than just about, answering questions correctly. It's about showcasing a deep, almost strategic understanding of the role itself.
Right.
For anyone stepping into accounting or moving up, employers aren't just looking for technical skill. They're assessing your whole approach, financial integrity, how you solve problems, how you collaborate, right from day one.
Yeah, demonstrating you actually get what accuracy and efficiency truly mean in practice.
Exactly. That's the core of it.
That's a fantastic way to frame it. Okay, so let's start with what I think is, it's the absolute bedrock of accounting. Accuracy.
Non-negotiable.
Totally. So when you're staring down, say, a stack of financial statements, how do you ensure everything is absolutely unequivocally spot on? Beyond just like checking the numbers, what's the actual process, the mindset?
Well, it's less about a single check and more about a holistic, almost forensic mindset, you could say.
Forensic.
Yeah. Interviewers want to hear about a systematic process, one that actively prevents costly errors. So think beyond just double checking. We're talking about multiple layers.
Okay, like what?
Like meticulous review of every single figure against its source document. That's basic, but essential. Then systematic reconciliations, really aligning things like bank statements with your ledger entries, and importantly, proactively seeking peer review or collaborating.
Get another pair of eyes on it.
Precisely. For example, think about month-end reports. You're not just punching in data, you're essentially building a financial narrative. Every number has to tell the correct story.
Right.
So regularly cross-checking with original invoices or receipts, running trial balances, maybe even bouncing unusual entries off a colleague or a senior, these steps really solidify accuracy. They build trust in the data.
That makes perfect sense, building trust. But here's where it gets really interesting, I think, for anyone who's dealt with real-world data. What happens when, despite all those meticulous checks, a discrepancy still pops up? How do you tackle that unexpected variance?
Right, and they do pop up. This is where your problem-solving ability truly shines. And frankly, it's where a lot of candidates can really differentiate themselves.
How so?
It's about showing a methodical, almost investigative approach. You need to explain that you systematically review records step by step to isolate the exact point of error.
Got an example?
Sure. I once resolved a pretty stubborn month-end variance, basically, a mismatch between expected and actual figures. It took methodically reviewing every single entry, cross-referencing invoices, bank statements, ledgers, line by line.
Tedious work.
It can be, but it turned out to be just a missed supplier credit. Small thing, big impact. The key isn't just finding the error, though. It's clearly communicating your findings and the fix. That maintains trust and ensures the reporting stays accurate.
That example really highlights the sort of detective work involved. Okay, but what does this mean when you're not just dealing with a few entries, but, an absolute flood of data?
Yeah.
How do you keep that accuracy, that completeness, and hit deadlines when you're faced with, mountains of information?
That's a great question because it gets right to the heart of managing detailed, high-volume tasks under pressure, which is, let's face it, a daily reality for an accounting technician.
Nah.
The strategy really involves systematic organization. Clear labeling is crucial. Breaking down the workload into manageable chunks. Imagine handling those month-end reports. Instead of seeing it as one huge task, I break it into sections.
Makes sense.
I use checklists, naturally, to track progress, set clear time blocks to work without distraction, and importantly, leverage software tools wherever possible to spot inconsistencies automatically.
Right, using the tech.
Exactly. I remember catching a series of input errors before submission once, purely because I had a system for cross-referencing figures from different reports. It's about working smarter, not just harder, especially under pressure.
Okay, working smarter. Now, this raises an important question for any professional, really.
Yeah.
Accountability. What about when you find a mistake and, it's your mistake?
Yeah.
Can you describe a time you discovered an error in your own work and how you actually handle it?
This is such a critical moment, not just in accounting, but anywhere. It really boils down to owning responsibility, being transparent, and taking corrective action immediately.
So what does that look like in practice?
Okay, for example, during a routine balance sheet review, I once noticed a small discrepancy in an invoice total. Just a simple data entry slip I'd made. My immediate steps, Correct it, obviously. Then inform my supervisor straight away with full transparency, update all the relevant records, and then, this is important, review my own process to figure out how it happened and stop it from happening again.
Learning from it.
Exactly. It shows you're proactive about quality and, not afraid to learn from those slips. We all make them.
That definitely demonstrates integrity, which is vital. But what if? What if you don't have all the pieces of the puzzle? Say you're faced with a problem, but the information you need just isn't all there. How do you navigate that uncertainty?
Yeah, incomplete data is a common reality in accounting. You absolutely cannot just guess. That's a recipe for disaster.
So what do you do?
My strategy is to first meticulously analyze the information you do have, pinpoint the precise gaps, then proactively seek input. Start with colleagues, maybe they have some context, then escalate to your supervisor to understand how they want you to proceed given the missing info.
Communication again.
Absolutely. You must clearly communicate the uncertainties, the potential risks of proceeding without full data, and make very clear, specific requests for the missing details.
For instance?
Okay, say I'm prepping a report, but a key expense category is missing documentation. I'd compile everything I have, clearly flag the missing items, and request clarification from the relevant department before making any assumptions or finalizing that section.
It really sounds like clear communication is a constant thread here, isn't it?
It underpins everything, really.
Let's zoom out a bit then. Can you describe a truly complex accounting problem you faced? Something knotty, and how you successfully untangled it.
Okay, yeah. This kind of question is a great opportunity to highlight not just problem solving, but also your critical thinking skills. A complex problem. Well, I once dealt with some really unclear expense allocations. They were causing persistent discrepancies in several different reports. It wasn't just a simple data entry error. It was more of a systemic issue in how things were being coded.
Okay, so how did you tackle that?
My approach involved a really detailed transactional review, tracing things back across multiple departments. Then, crucially, collaboration with the wider finance team to clarify the nature of certain entries and agree on the correct treatment.
And the result?
We adjusted the records, of course, which balanced the accounts, but more importantly, it led to an improved, much clearer process for handling those types of expenses going forward. So it turned a problem into a process improvement. That shows initiative.
That's a fantastic blend of technical skill and that proactive forward thinking. Okay, it's clear the attention to detail, methodical work, that's all fundamental. But it's not just about the numbers, is it?
Not at all. Far from it.
We've built a strong foundation with the data side. Now let's pivot a bit to mastering the people aspect. How do you explain complex financial information to, say, non-financial stakeholders? People who might just glaze over the first mention of an accrual or a depreciation schedule?
Yes, this is absolutely crucial. Because an accountant rarely, if ever, works in a complete silo. You're often the bridge between that raw data and the actionable business decisions people need to make.
So what's the secret?
The key is simplifying without being patronizing. That means stripping out the jargon wherever possible, using everyday language or maybe relatable analogies.
Like what?
Oh, I often compare budget variances to managing household expenses, for example, something tangible. Also, active listening is vital. You need to understand what they actually need to know, not just dump all the data you have on them.
Tailoring it.
Exactly. Tailor your explanation to their level of understanding and their specific concerns. Focus on the implications, the so what, not just the accounting mechanics.
I can imagine that saves a lot of headaches. But what about when things get a bit sticky? What's your approach when you disagree with a colleague on an accounting issue? Maybe how something should be treated.
Disagreements definitely happen, and how you handle them says a huge amount about your professionalism.
So what's your playbook?
My approach is always, first, to listen carefully to their viewpoint, make sure I genuinely understand their reasoning, then calmly share my perspective, but focusing strictly on the facts, the numbers, the relevant accounting standards, maybe company policy, rather than getting into personal opinions.
Keep it objective.
Absolutely. Often just reviewing the specific standard or the figures together can clarify things. If you still can't reach a resolution, it's perfectly professional and often necessary to suggest escalating the matter to a senior team member for an impartial review. It's about finding a constructive solution while keeping that working relationship respectful.
That sounds like a great blueprint for respectful resolution. Okay, stepping back from specific disagreements, how do you ensure effective communication within your team? Just on a day-to-day basis, what are your go-to strategies?
Yeah, effective teamwork really hinges on clear, timely, and concise communication. It sounds obvious, but it takes conscious effort.
What does that look like for you?
My strategies include always trying to use simple, straightforward language, actively listening, really hearing what people are saying, and responding thoughtfully rather than just reacting instantly. Choosing the right communication method is also key. Is this a quick chat, an email for documentation, or does it need a team meeting because it's complex? For example, if I find a minor process improvement, I'll shoot off a concise email to the team explaining the change and why it helps. Just ensures everyone's aligned efficiently.
Makes sense. And sometimes those messages aren't easy ones to deliver, are they?
No, definitely not.
Can you recall a time you had to communicate a particularly difficult message, maybe to a client or even a colleague? How did you approach that sensitive situation?
This type of question really reveals your emotional intelligence, your ability to handle delicate situations professionally.
Give us an example.
Okay, a good example might be having to inform a client that their financial statements had some discrepancies that would actually prevent a timely submission to the authorities. That's never fun news.
Definitely not. So how did you handle it?
My approach was to deliver the message calmly, explain the issues clearly and factually, crucially without assigning blame, and importantly, be solution-focused right away. Immediately suggest the next steps, a revised timeline, what needs to happen. Maintaining transparency throughout, while still empathizing with their likely frustration, helps build trust, even in those really challenging circumstances.
It sounds like it's all about navigating those relationships carefully while still upholding those critical standards.
Precisely. It's a balancing act.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Accounting, as we know, is constantly evolving. Regulations change, standards update. So how do you stay ahead? How do you keep your skills sharp and adapt in such a dynamic field?
You're right. Proactive, continuous learning isn't just a nice to have in accounting. It's absolutely essential for compliance, for accuracy, for everything.
So what's your strategy?
It's sort of a multi-pronged approach. I regularly review updates from the official professional bodies like the ACCA or the ICAEW here in the UK.
Okay.
And of course, government tax authorities like HMRC. You have to keep an eye on those. I also subscribe to trusted industry newsletters. They often act as a good early warning system for changes coming down the pike.
And once you know about a change,
then it's about assessing its impact on our current practices and adapting our reporting processes accordingly. For instance, when recent VAT changes came into effect, I immediately reviewed our systems, figured out what needed tweaking, and adjusted our reporting to ensure we were compliant right away. Avoid those costly errors.
That proactive approach sounds like a real lifesaver. Beyond just regulations, though, how do you adapt to really significant shifts in your direct work environment, like, say, a company switching to entirely new software, or maybe overhauling procedures mid-year?
Oh yeah, that happens. This question is all about demonstrating flexibility and being a problem solver, not just someone who points out the problems with the change.
Right. Got an example of that adaptability.
Definitely. At a previous company, we switched to a completely new accounting software system mid-quarter, which, as you can imagine, caused quite a bit of disruption.
I can imagine.
My strategy was simple. Dive headfirst into the training, practice extensively on my own time, just get proficient as quickly as humanly possible. But beyond just learning it myself, I then made myself available to help colleagues who were maybe struggling a bit more, sharing tips, shortcuts I'd found.
Nice. Team player.
Exactly. It showed not just my ability to adapt personally, but also that I could be a valuable team resource during a period of pretty significant change.
That's a really powerful example of agility. Okay, now let's get down to the brass tacks. Software. What accounting software are you proficient in? And can you give us a concrete example of how you've actually used it to genuinely streamline tasks, make things better?
Right. This is your chance to really showcase those technical chops and be specific. Don't just list software names.
So for instance?
For example, you could say, I'm proficient in Sage and Xero, then add the value. In a previous role, I utilized Xero not just for the standard stuff like invoicing and payroll, but I actually configured it to automate the monthly reconciliation of several key vendor accounts.
Automation, that's key.
Absolutely. Explain the benefit. This wasn't just a time saver. It significantly reduced the potential for manual errors, and it freed up team hours that could then be spent on more analytical tasks instead of repetitive data entry. That shows you're taking the software beyond just basic use.
Okay, love that. Here's a scenario I think almost everyone can relate to. managing multiple deadlines.
The classic juggling act.
Exactly. When you've got several critical tasks, maybe all due around the same time, how do you prioritize? How do you keep everything on track without dropping any balls?
Yeah, this is where efficient workload management isn't just nice, it's absolutely critical for survival sometimes.
So what's your approach?
It starts with creating a detailed to-do list. Sounds basic, I know, but it's foundational. Then I prioritize those tasks based on a clear hierarchy, usually urgency and importance.
Makes sense.
Bigger projects get broken down into smaller, more manageable steps. Give them their own mini milestones. And crucially, proactive communication. Let your supervisor or team know early if deadlines might shift. Don't wait for them to chase you.
Give an example.
Sure. During month-end close, for instance, I'll absolutely prioritize the high-value reconciliations that directly impact the main financial reports. Other routine tasks get scheduled efficiently around those critical items. It's all about strategic task allocation.
That sounds like a really solid strategy, especially for anyone dealing with that pressure cooker of deadlines. So how do you generally handle pressure and tight deadlines? How do you stop it from compromising your accuracy?
Right, because the pressure can definitely lead to mistakes if you're not careful. Remaining organized and accurate under stress is, I think, a defining trait for a good accounting technician.
And your secret?
It's really a combination of that meticulous planning we just talked about and just staying focused.
Oh, wait.
I recall a time when a key audit deadline was unexpectedly moved up by a whole week.
Ouch.
Yeah, instead of panicking, the first thing I did was immediately review all the outstanding tasks, reprioritize everything, coordinate closely with the team. Could we reallocate any workload? Then I broke my remaining work into even smaller, hyper-focused steps. Just tackle one thing at a time.
And it worked.
It did. It allowed us to maintain accuracy and deliver quality work, even under that really intense, compressed timeline. Focus is key. Yeah.
Impressive under pressure. Okay, finally, something employers always love to see. Initiative. Can you give an example of a time you went, above and beyond your standard job responsibilities? Did something extra?
Yeah, this is about showing you're not just there to perform assigned tasks, but you're actively looking for ways to add value, to improve things.
What's a good example?
Okay, maybe identifying a recurring issue that wasn't strictly part of your daily duties. For example, noticing consistent minor discrepancies in expense reports coming from one specific department.
Right.
Instead of just flagging them each time, you take the initiative, investigate the root cause, maybe propose a simplified reporting template for them. You could even offer to quickly train that department on the new, simpler process.
So solving the root problem.
Exactly. That streamlines operations, saves time for the entire finance team eventually, and improves the accuracy of their submissions. And it was all something you initiated outside your core list of responsibilities. That looks great.
All right, let's sort of unpack this for our listener then. Beyond all these specific scenarios and skills, what are the broader, maybe more common interview questions that an accounting technician candidate should absolutely expect? What's the interviewer really trying to find out?
That's a good summary question. Interviewers are definitely trying to get a holistic picture of you, not just your technical skills. So expect questions about how you handle challenges or conflicts at work.
Okay.
They're not looking for someone who's never had a conflict. They want to hear your process. How do you investigate the issue? How do you communicate? How do you work towards a solution?
Right, the approach matters.
Definitely. Be prepared to discuss your career goals. What are your aspirations? Maybe becoming a chartered accountant. And importantly, how do those goals align with their company, their opportunities?
Makes sense. What else?
They'll almost certainly ask why you left your last job or why you're looking to leave your current one. Honesty is key, but frame it positively, seeking growth, new challenges, a better culture fit. Never, ever badmouth a previous employer. Questions on how you handle pressure are very common. That's where you detail your organizational methods, maybe mention mindfulness techniques, strategies for staying calm and focused, like we discussed.
Okay.
And finally, almost universally, they'll probe your teamwork experience. They want evidence of collaboration, effective communication, how you contribute positively to a team dynamic.
That's an incredibly helpful framework for understanding what they're really getting at. Okay, so with all that in mind, what does this mean for truly preparing effectively for the interview itself? How should someone really approach that company research?
Company research isn't just, a box-ticking exercise. It's your strategic advantage. It shows genuine thirst.
Where should you start?
Start with the company website, obviously, but go deeper than the homepage. Look at their About Us, our team, maybe news or blog sections. Get a feel for their history, mission, values. Crucially, look for any financial reports they make public. And especially note any specific accounting software or systems they mention using.
Show you've done your homework.
Precisely. Next, dig into their social media, especially LinkedIn. What's the company culture seem like? Who are the key people in the finance department? Maybe even follow the company for real-time updates leading up to the interview.
Good idea.
Then broaden out. Dive into industry news and reports. Use tools like Google News. How is the company performing in its market? What are the current industry trends affecting them?
Context is important.
Very. And finally, maybe conduct a quick competitor analysis. Just a simple SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. It gives you insight into where they stand relative to others. This kind of comprehensive prep means you're not just answering questions, you're speaking their language, showing you understand their world.
That is a masterclass in preparation. Okay, this raises one final, but actually incredibly important question for the interview day itself. What about that all-important first impression? The visual. What's the recommended dress code for an accounting technician interview?
Yes. Don't underestimate this. For that pivotal first impression, professional presentation is absolutely non-negotiable. The standard advice is sound. A dark-colored business suit is usually safest.
For men and women?
Generally, yes, or a conservative dress or skirt suit for women. Pair it with a white or light-colored shirt, a conservative tie for men if appropriate. Closed-toe, polished shoes are essential for everyone.
Any other details?
Keep jewelry minimal and understated. Maintain a neat, professional hairstyle. For women, light, natural-looking makeup is best. Ensure your nails are clean and trimmed. Definitely avoid strong perfumes or colognes. You don't want to overwhelm the room. And carry your documents in a professional briefcase or bag, not a casual tote or backpack.
Got it.
These details might seem small, but together they signal respect for the opportunity, for the organization, and that you take this seriously.
What an incredible deep dive into really decoding the accounting technician interview. We've covered so much, from nailing accuracy and problem solving to demonstrating stellar communication, embracing professional growth, knowing what questions to expect, how to research effectively, even down to those subtle details of making that powerful first impression. Hopefully this deep dive leaves you, our listener, feeling not just prepared, but genuinely empowered.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is that the skills we've really dissected for the interview, that unwavering attention to detail, the agile adaptability, the crystal clear communication, these aren't just check boxes to tick to get the job.
No,
they are, in fact, the very bedrock of a successful, impactful career in finance itself. They're skills that constantly need to evolve with every new regulation, every software update, every complex problem you face.
That's a great point.
So the real question for you, our listener, isn't just how will you ace this interview? It's maybe how will you continue to cultivate and leverage these essential qualities long after the interview is over, making them the signature of your entire professional journey.
Wow, a truly profound thought to leave us with there. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Now go forth and put these valuable insights